Well, we're joined now from the London Stock Exchange by James Edsberg, Director of Financial Analysis at Lighthouse Global. Good morning.
Good morning.
I suppose the worry is that everyone starts falling like dominoes here. Where do you think the bad news will end? I specifically asked this because although we're talking about Lehman Brothers, there is also news today that the financial group AIG is asking of upwards of $40 billion to shore up its finances.
Well, I think what a number of the largest financial institutions have seen and the lessons that they've drawn from Lehman Brothers is you've got to get ahead of this wave of lack of confidence that seems to be hitting financial institutions. It's almost like you're trying to kind of get ahead of the gangrene and operating above the wound, if I can draw that rather sort of unpleasant picture at this stage in the morning. But I think that one of the things that is very interesting is that the New York Federal Reserve and the authorities in the United States have made available additional capital to their major financial institutions. They have encouraged a number of banks to come forward with a fund that can be used to shore up financial institutions that look like they're getting in trouble. And Merrill Lynch has learned the lessons from Lehman Brothers, and they have concluded a deal in record speed with Bank of America to avoid their focus falling on them next.
And yet, Alan Greenspan said that we shouldn't try to protect every single institution. So he's implying a sort of Darwinian survival of the fittest here, which would imply that other institutions will announce they're going to get into serious trouble.
Yes, I mean, he said that other major financial firms will fail, and so we probably will have other banks that get into trouble. So that is to be expected.
Right, so it is your view that this isn't the end of the bad news. There is more to come.
No, but what we've got is clarification. We've got...
Sorry, when you say no, you mean that there is an end or there isn't an end to the bad news yet?
I don't think there's an end to the bad news yet, but what we do have is clarification over an institution, Lehman Brothers, over which there was a question mark. And stock markets are only dislike one thing, and that is uncertainty. If they know that there is a piece of bad news coming down the track towards them, they can price it in and they can take account of that.
Unlike Northern Rock, this doesn't have an obvious retail business side to it, so how badly will it affect savers and investors?
I don't think it will directly. Of course, the financial markets and the system of credit is intimately linked to the real economy. And so in terms of how it might impact people here in the UK, it directly will not have an impact. But, it only goes to further undermine, in some senses, the confidence that people have in the financial sector generally. And we see the events in New York surrounding Lehman Brothers, that other banks and the Federal Reserve doing everything they can to shore up confidence. There
is also a distinction to be made here, isn't there, about falling into the black hole that is bankruptcy, when you sort of close up shop and just go home and hide under the duvet. And what we've got here is Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, where there is at least a hope that this business carries on.
You're right. Chapter 11 gives the bank a breathing space. It is still possible to run this business. They will fundamentally reorganize it, and it is highly likely that they will sell bits of the bank off. But the point that I think is very important to bear in mind here is that for so long, investment banks have been incredibly complex businesses, doing everything from commodities trading, currency trading, asset management, and offering corporate finance advice. I think in the future, we will see these banks doing fewer of those activities and simplifying their strategy. It just wasn't sustainable to keep track on all the risk profiles that these different businesses had, and they were extremely difficult to manage.
You say there's no direct effect on the retail market, ordinary people in the UK. However, surely a situation like this makes the banks much less willing to lend to us all. And in the end, if we pop down to a bank and ask for an overdraft or a bit of a mortgage, they're a lot less willing to give it to us these days.
Yes, but all banks are not the same. There's a distinction to be made between the commercial and retail banks who take deposits, and they have a fundamentally stronger backbone, I think it's fair to say, than investment banks that invest money on behalf of others and sometimes themselves. Investment banks don't have that safety line.
Okay. James Edsberg from Lighthouse Global, thank you very much indeed.